Dr. Anthony Fauci is not always right, contrary to what the mainstream media would have you believe. In fact, if you make a list of what Dr. Fauci has gotten wrong about COVID-19 versus what he's gotten right, you'll wonder, why are we listening to this man at all? Politicians and public health officials and the mainstream media tell us to listen to the experts. But that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything if people call you an expert, but you are repeatedly wrong. Dr. Anthony Fauci, for example, claimed this weekend that New York got hit with COVID-19 worse than any other place in the world. But Fauci claimed that New York handled it correctly. Take a look at this.
We have a problem. We need to admit it and own it. But we've got to do the things that are very clear that we need to do to turn this around. Remembering we can do it. We know that when you do it properly, you bring down those cases. We've done it. We've done it in New York. New York got hit worse than any place in the world, and they did it correctly.
32,000 people have died in New York from COVID-19, thousands and thousands of them because of the gross mishandling of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who forced nursing homes to accept COVID-positive patients, who ignored pleas for help from long-term care facilities who knew their residents were vulnerable and at high risk from this virus. Was Dr. Fauci correct about New York handling the outbreak correctly? No, he's dead wrong. From day one of this pandemic, was Dr. Fauci correct about President Trump's China travel ban? No. Dr. Fauci reportedly criticized President Trump shutting down travel, according to the president, before Fauci publicly praised it when he was proved wrong. Fauci was wrong about face masks, too, telling everybody not to wear a face mask unless they were sick, only to admit later that he lied in order to manipulate our behavior so we wouldn't purchase face masks so they could save the PPE for medical providers. Fauci was wrong on face masks, and what's worse, he lied about it. Fauci was also wrong to rely on predictive models like the faulty, easily debunked Imperial College London report written by Neil Ferguson, or the University of Washington model that wasn't right ever, even on the day they made predictions. To this day, Fauci claims if we had not locked down, we would have seen millions of deaths. But that's an unfalsifiable claim. The studies show lockdowns had little to no impact on the curve of the virus epidemic. In fact, was Dr. Fauci right about the efficacy of government-mandated lockdowns and quarantine of healthy people in the first place? No. A new study shows people are more likely to contract COVID-19 in their own home than elsewhere. And Fauci ignored existing science that already told us lockdowns didn't work. Fauci was wrong about the fatality rate of COVID-19 when it was obvious from the beginning that the World Health Organization estimate of a 3.4% case fatality rate was based on lack of testing, selection bias. So we didn't know how many cases there were. And to this day, Dr. Fauci still will not admit that it's safe for schools to open, even though science shows that kids are more likely to die from the seasonal flu than they are to die from COVID-19. Dr. Fauci claims to rely on the science, but in the past 5 months, he hasn't. Dr. Fauci actually suggested that we never shake hands with anybody ever again. And it's okay to point out the truth that Dr. Fauci is repeatedly wrong.